Hello, my pack, my tribe. Welcome to Howling After Dark. Okay, so got some good stuff for tonight and some announcements I want to make. For starters, I recently became an independent consultant for Ambit Energy. And I know what you're thinking. What the heck is Ambit Energy? Well, I'm going to tell you. Rather, I'm going to let them tell you themselves.
Hi, today I want to talk to you about an industry and life-changing opportunity. One that starts with a simple question. How many people do you know that use electricity or natural gas? That's an easy one, everybody, right? What if I told you there's a way you could make money every time people turn on the lights or turn on the heat? Right now, energy deregulation is creating a window of opportunity in states, cities, and towns all across America. And Ambit Energy is helping thousands of people just like you seize that opportunity. Here's how. Deregulation gives consumers in many areas the right to choose their own energy provider. The result is one of the largest redistributions of wealth ever to impact a single industry, an industry worth $474 billion a year. That's billions and billions of dollars being spent on gas and electricity, products we all use habitually, day in, day out, week after week, month after month. So, how do you get in on this massive transfer of wealth? How do you go from being a buyer of energy to selling it in a deregulated market? You start with the right partner, and Ambit Energy is the company you choose. We're an established leader, having gotten in on the ground floor of the deregulated market. We're helping shape and drive this change, and we're a major force in redistributing wealth to our independent consultants. Above all, we're committed to building our company the right way, chosen our company's foundations, our history, and our integrity. Our success begins with our co-founders, Jerry Thompson Jr. and Chris Chambliss. Jerry's family started the Southland Corporation, better known as 7-Eleven, which is now one of the largest franchise opportunities in the world. Chris was a senior executive with XL Communications, one of the fastest growing companies in the history of American business, helping them reach $1 billion in just a few short years. Together, their experience and innovative leadership has helped guide Ambit to a leading position among American companies. But don't just take my word for it. Here's what industry experts in the financial community have to say about Ambit's meteoric rise. Ambit has been recognized for its growth and excellence by the SMU Cox School of Business Top 100. In fact, Jerry Thompson is the only CEO to ever have two companies named to this list. In 2010, Ambit was named the fastest growing company in America by Inc. magazine. Ambit has also won awards for customer service and been named one of the top 100 places to work by both the Dallas Morning News and the Dallas Business Journal. And with revenue of more than $1.5 billion in less than 10 years, the Direct Selling News recently listed Ambit as one of the largest direct selling companies in the world. Well, enough about us. Let's talk about what Ambit can do for you. Remember all those people you know who use energy? By recommending Ambit, you can offer them competitive rates, award-winning service and support, and the opportunity to save even more with solar energy. But the best part with Ambit, your customers also have the chance to earn that energy for free, month after month, just for referring a few more customers to Ambit. That's right, free. So, what's the catch? Well, there isn't one. There's a one-time $75 fee to get your business started and a $24.95 monthly maintenance fee for your suite of personal websites. And you can earn that investment back within a few days by just gathering 2 or 3 customers. Show me where you can find a franchise-type business for $100 or one that lets you earn your investment back so quickly. A business that enables you to take advantage of one of the biggest market deregulations in history and the newest industry opportunity, solar energy. Plus, you don't have all the headaches of managing inventory, payroll, or support. Ambit takes care of all the heavy lifting. You just focus on gathering a handful of customers and finding others who want to do the same. With Ambit, there are 3 lucrative ways to earn income. First, you can earn immediate bonuses just for gathering 2 or 3 customers, depending on the market. Bonuses that will earn back that initial $100 investment. From that point on, your business can become profitable. You'll earn additional bonuses as you build a team of customer gatherers. Best of all, you can also earn residual income month after month based on your customers and the customers of the team you help get started with their own Ambit business. Think about the power of residual income. This is getting paid month after month after month, every time these customers pay their energy bill, for as long as they are Ambit customers. It's this kind of income that has thousands of Ambit independent consultants on the road to financial freedom. Many of them even earn enough to cover all their monthly bills, and countless others have that cushion at the end of the month that lets them rest easy. I can assure you there's no other opportunity out there like Ambit Energy. It's the right time, the right industry, and the right company. We're just looking for the right people to partner with. Are you that person? Are you looking to make extra income? Or maybe you want something more, something life-changing. It's happening all around us to people just like you. What's stopping you? Ask the person who sent you this video how you can get started on the path to financial freedom.
Okay, so there you go. I will say this. For the record, this is awesome. This whole thing with Ambit Energy is just, it's mind-blowing. Let me explain. First off, so you have basically 2 options. If you want to save money on your energy bill, or if you want to become an independent consultant, go to the following website, ghostwolf.energy526.com. You can watch that video. You can check everything out for yourself. If it looks like something you're into, sign up. You can sign up as an independent energy consultant and do what I'm doing and start to make money. Or you can sign on as a customer and save quite a bit of money, truth be told, as a customer. And there's a couple different options you can learn about. Just go to that site. Once again, it's ghostwolf.energy526.com. All right, on with tonight's show. Got some good stuff for you. First off, I've got kind of a complaint, if you will. I've talked about these guys several times. I still love them. I still love their show. That has not changed. However, I don't even think it's the newest season. Well, it might be. But I recently watched an episode of Ghost Adventures I had not seen before. They had gone to this place called Golden. It was a gold rush town in the 1800s built in Oregon that was very different from your typical gold rush town. There was no saloons. Um, the whole town was built by this preacher who ruled it with an iron fist. Um, and according to my research, it had been violent with people on more than one occasion. Um, in any case, if you want to check out the episode, it's pretty cool. Except, okay, here's where my problem comes in. So, through the process of their interviews, like they typically do at the beginning of the show, they always learn some things. And one of the things that they learned is that some ritual practices were taking place in and around the town of Golden. In fact, in the forest nearby, evidently there's like this community of, I hate to use the word, but witches, I guess. Now, here's the problem, and I actually have this problem with a lot of people. First off, the word witch is way, way, way misused. And a witch can be either good or not so good, evil, if you will, just like anybody else. The thing about it, though, is that word, first off, like I said, gets thrown around way too much. But secondly, has been misused to describe anybody that practices magic, if you will. So they were kind of jumping to the conclusion right off the bat that these rituals that were taking place were automatically satanic and demonic, and that they were summoning negative entities because there were negative things that had happened there. They did actually petition this group to do an interview, and they were turned down. Now, they immediately jumped to the conclusion that, hold on one sec. They immediately jumped to the conclusion that that must mean that they're up to no good, yada, yada, yada. And that they must be, behind the negative activity in this ghost town of Golden. Now, I disagree with that. And I'm not saying that they're not correct in that assumption necessarily. I mean, that could be going on for all I know. But here's my problem. It's called paranormal investigation for a reason. You can't just make statements like that without actually investigating it. Keep in mind that the investigation hadn't even taken place yet. They were just doing the interviews. And they're jumping to that conclusion. Okay, fine. Yeah, I get it. There are some ritual practitioners, I guess you could say, out there that are indeed satanic. They're up to no good. They're pieces of shit. There's no fucking doubt about that. But to immediately label these people without even finding out for sure, that's kind of bullshit. And here's the thing. They did do one thing right, okay? They did petition this group to try and interview them, but I understand why a group like that may have turned down that interview. It doesn't necessarily mean they were up to no good. It could just very likely mean that they didn't want to be personally persecuted by not only them, but the surrounding community, and, have to wear that stigma every fucking day. But the point is they don't know. And they're jumping to that conclusion. So that really fucking bothered me. And I understand that they have to, ham things up for ratings, and let's face it, evidently people are into the negative shit because, Ghost Adventures is on, their 16th season or something like that. Which is awesome, but on the other hand, it just gives people a wrong idea, first off. And I've talked about this before. They focus on the negative to get ratings. And, objectively, I understand that. But I just know that if I ever got a TV deal, I'm sorry. If you don't like my show, you don't like it, but I'm not going to pander to my fucking audience. I'm going to show you exactly what happened. I'm not going to focus on negative shit. If there happens to be negative shit there, then I'll deal with it. And you'll get to see that. But if there's not, I'm not going to try and claim that there is just to get ratings. And this, in large part, is the reason why we don't have our own TV show. Because we've been approached now like 4 or 5 times by different TV shows about having us come on and, et cetera, et cetera. But they focus on the negative, and I just won't fucking do that. And I guess in some ways, my team kind of pays for that, but it's not what we're about, and I'm never going to allow it to be what we're about because, well, there's a lot of reasons, really. I mean, first off, I'm not going to change who I am or what I think, for fame and glory and all that shit. Secondly, I do a lot of residential cases, and I don't want to give the people that I help the wrong impression. I don't want them to feel terrified every time something goes bump in the night. Because the reality is, well, yes, there are negative things out there. Yes, there are evil things out there. Yes, there are demons out there. But those things, in all actuality, in my personal experience, are so few and far between that I'm not going to paint the world in that brush. It's not going to fucking happen. And if that keeps me from ever having a TV deal, so fucking be it. I would say I'm pretty successful. I have this radio show which has over 14,000 fucking listeners worldwide. I think that's pretty good. I think that's actually pretty fucking excellent. Not to mention the fact that I would never want to do anything to alienate the spirits we're investigating, because it's all about communication. And nobody's going to want to communicate with you if they think you're a fucking asshole. That's just the way that particular cookie crumbles. Sorry if I bursted any bubbles. Actually, I'm not. I really don't give a shit, because some bubbles need to be bursted. And by the way, that sound you just heard, that's my dogs leaning against my door. Anyways. It just sucks. Honestly, it does. And here's the thing you got to understand about the Ghost Adventures crew. Without the TV cameras around, nicest guys in the world, without the TV cameras around, they would investigate more like I do. In fact, they do. I mean, they do still go to places they know has something negative going on, because that's what they're after. But they're not just focusing on that left to their own devices. They're actually a lot like we are, trying to communicate with spirits. But, that's the thing about having this TV show, I guess, is they've got to serve the desires, the needs of their viewers, along with the production company and all that shit. And, I get it. I do. I do get it. I just will never be that. That's all I'm saying. Okay, going back to the whole fucking main point. I don't think it's right for anybody, TV show or not, to just jump to conclusions like that. I think you really have to do your due diligence. And if you can't confirm something, don't fucking say it. Don't even hint at it, because you don't know. You know? And I've even been very diligent about that in our own investigations, about not jumping to conclusions. And I'm sure there were times I was kind of guilty of it myself, but I try not to, and I really try not to. I think there's maybe once in the past 5 years or so that I may have jumped to a conclusion about something, but the difference is the conclusion I jumped to was relatively harmless. And the only reason I jumped to it is because, and the only reason I even refer to it as jumping to a conclusion, honestly, is because we only had one piece of evidence opposed to the three that I like to get. And so I just went with it, and sometimes you do that, and I get that, but to label a group of people as something they may not be, just because you can't confirm it. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. It just fucking is. And they've done this before. Like with the whole thing about the voodoo rituals that they did in New Orleans. Um, well, it did what it was supposed to do at the time. Years later, in I think it was the season before this newest one, they had referred back to it, but they had referred back to it in a negative light. And I'm like, look, there's good and evil in everything, but voodoo specifically is built on that. Like, you have what they call, in the practice of voodoo, you have Hugnan and you have Bokor. One is good, one is evil. You're either one or the other. There's like no middle ground there, really. And the ritual they had performed was done by the current voodoo queen of New Orleans, who goes by the name of Bloody Mary. And Bloody Mary is good. She's not an evil person. Okay? So, it's the way they reacted to it, though, made it seem like she could be. All I'm saying is, we, not just Ghost Adventures, but everybody needs to be really careful about how they put things out there, And I've seen so many YouTube videos or there was a lot of build up and overreacting during investigations because they just went in assuming that what they were dealing with was negative. And some of these places in question are places that I've fucking been to, and I happen to know that there's nothing negative there. So essentially what's happening is because they have a preconceived notion about the paranormal, the spirits in question are kind of getting mistreated. Because groups like that like to provoke, which is, once again, unnecessary and fucking bullshit. If it's not something you would say to somebody in their own home, don't fucking say it, because that's what you're doing. You're going into their home and talking shit. So yeah, you're gonna get scratched, you're gonna get slapped, you're gonna get pushed. All that fucking shit. If you came into my house talking like that, I would knock you the fuck out. Straight up. Because the thing is, and this is actually kind of what scares me a little bit. People don't know how to treat other people anymore. Primarily with this new generation. And it's not entirely their fault. It's not entirely their parents' fault. A lot of it is society's fault. Because they're not learning the social skills like they used to. There, there, there is a lot of entitlement. I know a lot of people like to throw that around, um, but it's true. There is a lot of entitlement with these new generations, the millennials and whatnot. But it's not entirely their fault, and it's not entirely their parents' fault. It's a lot of it's society's fault, because somewhere along the line, uh, spanking your kid became abuse, and the result is there's no consequences anymore. And then some fucktard came up with the idea of, oh, everybody gets a trophy. So now there's this sense of entitlement that, they they have. Like, and not only that, like, it's a bad combination, because there's a sense of entitlement, but there's also no sense of accomplishment. So you have like whole generations of people growing up now that think the world just owes them whatever they want, and it doesn't fucking work that way. And what's scary about that is some of these people are going to be the next generation of paranormal investigator. And they're going to act like that to these spirits that aren't going to put up with their shit. It's like, fuck. It's scary. I actually wish that time travel was a real thing, and then we could take all these youngsters and make them grow up in like the 70s and 80s, and they have to be in the 70s and 80s until they're like 21, and then they can come back, because that's the only way I can see them getting it, because I got my ass beat. I did when I was a kid. I got my ass beat. But I'm grateful for it, because first off, that which does not kill you can only make you stronger. And I don't mean physical strength necessarily, but I'm probably the strongest person you could ever meet. Because if you think about some shit, I've gone through it. And I came out the other side, I think, a better person. You know? So, but it's also affected how I do paranormal investigating. It's all related. And so it's a scary thing, because I can totally picture that blowing up in their face. Which, if it was just blowing up in their face, it would be one thing. But as I've described before in previous episodes, we have to be careful about every fucking thing we do, because everything is going to be seen through colored glasses that were colored by the people that came before. You understand what I mean? Like, if I go to do a paranormal investigation, a residential case, and I totally talk down to the client and I treat them like shit, they're probably not going to contact anybody else because they're just going to assume that everybody's going to treat them that way. And they're going to have it in their head that well, maybe they're just crazy, yada, yada, yada. So there's that factor. Plus, the other thing is, we have to be careful about what we do because of the spirits. Because nobody wants to talk to an entitled little prick that thinks that they're owed everything. Especially spirits, because guaranteed, most of them are from generations before ours. They're not the kind of people to think that they're entitled to anything. They're the type of people that had to scratch and claw and climb for everything they ever got. And now they're on the other side. That's all I'm saying. You got to consider all of that with the paranormal, because you might be talking to somebody that died yesterday, but you also might be talking to somebody that died 150 years ago, that if you don't talk to them correctly is going to fuck up your day. Not because they're a bad person, but because that's how they are. They're not going to put up with any shit. I don't put up with any shit. So I know for a fact they're not going to either. And nor should they. So, that's all I'm getting at, is we got to be careful about what we do and what we say and how we say it. We got to be careful about jumping to conclusions that may not be true. We got to be careful about how we treat peoples and how we treat spirits, because they're kind of the whole fucking point. I will say this though, having been able to see spirits for such a long time, it is far more beautiful than people think. Yes, there are those, like I said before, those negative things out there that are so rare. Far more common. There's a decency, a kindness, a loving that transpires in the spirit world far more often than anything negative. And I think the reason for that kind of has to do with human nature. are at our kindest and most graceful and most loving, I have found, in general, when we have nothing left to lose. And these guys, they're spirits, so what do they have to lose? Absolutely nothing. There's nothing that you can threaten them with. Nor should you. You know, they're beautiful souls. They really are, most of them. Now, of course, I'm speaking in generalities. Of course, there are those kind of negative assholes out there that, you know, are that way generally because that's how they were in life, too. But for every one of those, there's 10 of the other ones. And that's a beautiful thing, you know, especially doing what we do. And it saddens me that due to the example laid forth by TV shows, more paranormal investigators are not taking advantage of that. You know, more people aren't even attempting to see the beauty because they think it's non-existent, because they've been given this idea that it's all negative, that if they're not evil, then they're a trapped spirit, which is bullshit, quite frankly. Not to say that there aren't trapped spirits out there, there are, but that's kind of rare too, in my experience. But the truth is, it seems that we don't lose free will when we die. And most of these spirits are here because they choose to be. They miss interacting with the living. That's why, in my opinion, paranormal investigation is even possible in the first place. Because they miss the living. They miss interacting with those who are alive. And so when we get these false impressions about everything being negative or whatever, and we're mistreating them, they stop talking, which means those of us that aren't doing that can miss out. And that's sad. It shouldn't be that way. I mean, I'll tell you now, whenever I die, I'm coming back as a spirit. And if anybody mistreats me, they're going to regret it. But those that treat me right, I can promise you this now. I don't care what I gotta do. If you treat me right, I'll treat you right, and I will give you the best evidence you could ever get. That's my deal. But you have to treat me right. So just keep that in mind. One day you're going to hear about it. Oh, Jay passed away. Oh, okay. Let's go investigate. Because he made that deal. And you'll investigate. And guess what? Treat me right, I'm going to treat you right. I'm a man of my word. Now, having said that, there are a few assholes out there that I would go out of my way to make life hell for, but, you know, that's kind of the case now. So that's not really anything different. I'm kind of vindictive with people that do me wrong. I really am. And it's not something I'm necessarily proud of. In fact, I kind of see it as a flaw. But I also kind of don't. Because here's the thing. When people fuck me over, they learn really quick that they made a mistake. And for the people that don't fuck me over, it's because they see what I do when people fuck me over. Because I don't necessarily have to get violent. I'm much more devious than that. And I could name names and give you examples, but I'm not going to because those people have paid for their crimes. And some are still paying for their crimes. And that's that. Enough said. So keep that in mind. When I die and I come back as a spirit, you want to treat me right. Guaranteed, you want to treat me right. One way or the other. But anywho, so that's the whole deal, though. Is and I guess in a way, it's never made much sense to me because I mean, unless you're a total asshole, you don't just go around all day disrespecting people, right? Like, so why would you do it with spirits, with ghosts? Why? Why? What? Why would you do that? It just makes no fucking sense. And because I hate, first of all, I hate fucking provoking. It's unnecessary and it does not get you the results that you want. Unless you know for a fact you're dealing with something evil or negative, whatever. Don't fucking do it. Because otherwise, all you're doing is you're coming off as an asshole to people that don't deserve it. To spirits that don't deserve it. So there you have it, folks. It's about all the time I have tonight. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to check out Ambit Energy. Go to ghostwolf.energy526.com. Check it all out. See if it's for you. My contact information is on there, so if you decide that it's for you, you can contact me and we'll get you going one way or the other. And if it's not for you, hey, that's cool too. Just do yourself a favor, though. Definitely check it out. Once again, ghostwolf.energy526.com. All right, until next time, my pack, my tribe. Peace out.